Who said you can't go home? Real Estate Exposed, brought to you by Signature Real Estate. Real Estate Exposed is all about helping homeowners and those who would like to be homeowners and those who would like to get into real estate.
Good morning and welcome to Real Estate Exposed. I am super excited today.
Just today?
Yep, I'm just going to tell you. You know what?
What are you excited about?
I got to drop off the last remaining dog to the, not the pound, to the trainer.
The last remaining dog? So are you getting all of your dogs?
All but, well, the last one we're going to take is Dallas because the other one's too old to train.
Aww.
We're really buying into you can't teach an
Old
old dog
new
new tricks. No, but we've taken our two labs and now we've got our little French bulldog. He got enrolled today, so
really,
I'm really excited.
So I got to ask you a question because I've been thinking about this. So your dogs, as part of the training, they get little buzzing
e-collars,
e-collars, right? And so you have the remotes for them. Is there a chance like they cross the streams and you get one instead of the other? I mean, have you thought about that, like radio waves?
We haven't had to do that yet, but no. But actually, they said there is a remote that controls two dogs, two different buttons on the same remote. But I fear I'm going to just...
It's like peer pressure?
I'm going to correct the wrong one. He's like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to.
So are they like little shock things? Or?
Yeah, they vibrate them.
Buzzers.
Oh, vibrate.
They don't shock anymore because that's not humane.
That's correct.
But they buzz.
Oh.
Yeah, they vibrate.
And that's... So you take them to the trainer, and then the trainer gives them the e-collar.
Well, they train them with them, and then you can buy an e-collar after. But you're crazy if you don't, because that's how they've been training.
Funny
them,
enough, you could have just gone to Sharper Image and bought a remote control dog.
So if I just go down and pick up the e-collar, I might be able to train my dog.
But I shouldn't be as excited as I am that I dropped this one off, but I am.
The little one. So
Yeah.
he's your Frenchie, right? Your
Yeah,
bulldog.
yeah. But it was crazy because you got the big dogs and there's chaos and stuff, so you just assume it's the big dog because he's the one that takes up the most space. And you take them and you bring him home and he's a little bit more well trained, and then all of a sudden you're going, nope, it's the little shit right there.
Yeah.
So he's
After
off.
seeing your dog, I'm thinking of doing it with my Great Dane because he needs all the help he can get.
So what is the huge improvement that you saw?
Well, he doesn't maul people when they come in.
Yeah.
I can tell him to go to his place and he'll lay there.
Really?
He'll lay there on the floor. Yeah. I mean, he still gets a little excited. He still pushes a little bit, but because he's still in training, he'll heel right to the side. He's easy to walk now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big difference. So if you have a dog out there and you're in Vegas, Club Canine does a fabulous job.
So it's a 3-week program? Do they go through an immersion program? And
It's immersion, yes.
Dogs carrying sandbags up a hill.
So they have different things. They have for aggression. They have just basic off leash training. They have service dog training. They have just basic manners and stuff.
Manners?
Yeah, so your dog can learn how
Be
to
polite, say hi to
which
everybody
fork
when
to
you-
eat with. But no, so there's the first 2 weeks when you drop them off, you don't go. They work with them for 2 weeks, and then on the third week you go, and you go every Tuesday and Thursday, and you work with the trainer and the dog, and that's where they train you. Because they've already trained the dog for 2 weeks, now they're training you on how to.
So do you get an e-collar too?
I think I respond better.
Well, you literally, when I watched you with your dog, I mean, you have steps that you're taking away that you walk when you're around him and things. So
It's like learning to dance, yeah.
yeah. Well,
Wow,
At least you
that's
can do
pretty
that.
I still can. I got 2 left feet. No, funny though, I was leaving one night after training the dog, and we came by one of the other training. He goes, "How do you do it?" I said, "I think I'm getting it." So it was good. But anyways, that was just, we digress there.
So
but
you won't see your dog for 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Well, when I showed up today, they go, "Another one?" And I said, "Yeah, you can keep this one."
Or not.
Or not, right? No, Carolina would kill me. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's it in a nutshell for me. But I know you were just off at Circle of Champions.
I was, yeah.
And I saw on social media you were soaking in an ice bath.
Just hanging out, soaking in the bath.
Oh my God.
Have you
hell?
guys ever done that before?
No.
Only with beer in it.
Really?
Yeah.
just because I
went to
fell
grab one and I fell in. So,
Did you make it? Did you get to sit in there? Do you know how long you were in there?
I don't remember.
He doesn't.
You can see that too. Chris is in the bucket.
Yeah, it was a cool experience actually, and yeah. I sat in the bucket for 3 minutes, and we timed ourselves.
And it was more than a bucket; it was a big
goal?
tub.
Was the goal 3 minutes, or were you guys looking at different times? Because I know there's 6 minutes, and you go into hyperthermic shock.
Is that the time frame? I didn't know how long they were going to.
Maybe it's 30. I don't know.
push us. I think they had said about 15 minutes. It really is not beneficial to your health.
Yeah.
So they got us all in there. I think the first minute and a half, anybody that was going to freak out would have freaked out and jumped out. But all of us went through it. It's crazy. That was really, it was a lot about the power of your breath.
Sure.
So before you even get in there, they teach you a lot about breathing and how you can handle that, just in life in general, not necessarily while you're sitting inside of an ice bath, but that's how you kind of get through it. So it's like a gigantic, I don't know, they call it a horse feeder. That's like
This place we store beer.
Yeah.
Or that.
A
yeah.
trough.
No,
A
yeah.
trough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they fill it up with ice. I remember getting in there and I couldn't feel the edge because I'm a little short. I couldn't feel the edge of the bin, and so I was freaking out. Like I can't touch my legs, and my legs started to freeze, and I started to freak out about my legs, not my body, just specifically my legs.
How did you feel when you got out of it? Did you feel better?
Amazing.
There was a bunch of people doing cryotherapy, and same thing. You put your legs or your body in a freezer. And just below
Just
the
your
head
is up, yeah.
And they say it makes your body feel amazing.
There's so much clarity that you gain from that, which is like the craziest thing. Because I think when you can control your brain, so to speak, and your mind, which is all that you're doing, part of the breathing aspect of it, it's just a weird feeling coming out of that.
They say the worst thing in the world is for someone to get into a stressful situation, like held at gunpoint or robbery or something like that. And most people, or in an accident, most people die because they hyperventilate or they stress out. And if you're able to keep calm through. So my aunt got robbed one time. She was working at
and that's funny.
This is how good this is. So they tell you in that situation to remain very calm, don't freak out, because it makes the person robbing you feel nervous. You don't want them to feel nervous. And my aunt can't handle stress, so she laughs hysterically. And so this guy holds her at gunpoint and says, "Give me all your money." And she starts laughing hysterically. And the guy was so freaked out that he ran out of the store.
Oh my
He didn't know what to do. But in life, that's a great lesson, is to maintain calm and get through it. That's professional athletes, big deal for them, you know.
So I never sat in an ice bath, but I did have to swim in a frozen lake once.
Oh.
Swim across the lake, or
so I was in Boy Scouts, and
we were up
we were up there, but they had, for you to be able to use the canoes and stuff like that, they had to show that you could handle the cold water. And they said the first thing you do when you jump in is just scream, let it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you gasp that air and then you can't get your control, right?
Yeah.
So was that part of the thing? Did you get in and scream, or did you exhale before you got in? Or
when you first get in, the first thing they tell you to do is take a deep breath in, and then as you sit into the tub, you basically exhale. And they want you to swallow your air, so to speak, and that's so that you can stop that hyperventilating where you're they're swallow your air. So you try to figure out how to swallow your air, and that literally makes your mind stop.
Makes you burp, doesn't it?
I couldn't figure out how to do it. I was freaking out about swallow my air. But when to your point where you're talking about you don't know what to do, so my legs are starting to freeze, and I started to get really, really cold, and somebody was like, take a deep breath. So I took a deep breath, and I forgot my legs just warmed up automatically.
Power of the
and
mind.
so you start to breathe, and I probably could have sat in there for longer than the 3 minutes. But when you get out, the first thing your thought is to jump out and go and take a warm shower or bath or whatever. And we warmed our bodies up naturally through the Tai Chi type stance. So we're doing squats on the beach and with a towel, and got so hot. I was, it felt like you were just gotten a hot bath. But they tell you, don't let yourself jump into a hot bath because it'll actually reverse the effects and makes you colder.
Probably create some nerve damage too, wouldn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
But that process of warming up, if you do it wrong, you could get hypothermia.
Absolutely.
At that point.
Yeah.
Right.
And he had even said, so we had a trainer that was there to help us with our breathing. But then the biggest piece coming out of it, they had somebody else instructing us through the closer.
Wait, let's go back. He was there to help in and out. In and out. Is that what
Did
you hear about the blonde girl went get her hair cut and she had headphones on? The barber's cutting her hair and he says, "Can I take your headphones off?" She said, "Sure." And she drops dead. And he goes, "What happened?" So he lets in and out. In and out.
Helping her breathe. I'm
I'm
glad
sorry.
we got you on the show. Chris Bishop.
Yeah. No, so there's a different way of breathing, especially in those situations. Sure. But you can see it in like your flight. What do they call that? Fight or flight. When you start to breathe through like your top part instead of in your belly.
Yep.
And actually, when you breathe through your belly, it'll help you to control anything, really, not just inside of an ice bath, but high pressure moments or when you're speaking in public, if that happens. When you're on a show like this and you're super nervous, just take deep breaths.
Swallow your breath. Swallow your breath.
Swallow your breath.
Not your tongue.
There was what do they call those stories, the analogies, like, Confucius says or things like that. Anyway, I remember being in the only college class I went to. I remember this guy talking about two men that were stuck on the top of a mountain, and it was in a blizzard, and the teacher said that, to train your mind, you must visualize what you want. And so he put a fire in front of them, and he says, the one who can visualize the fire will stay warm. And these two guys were there, and one guy froze, and the other guy visualized the fire, and he survived.
Really?
Very hard lessons they learned back then, because death was one of the options.
That's definitely, I do believe there's power of mind.
Yeah, you either get it or you die.
Yeah.
And breath. Yeah.
So this last week we had the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was interesting.
Did your team win?
I was going for the Bengals.
I didn't care.
And
I was going for the commercials.
What did you think about the commercials?
I got to tell you, it's not as good as it was when I was a kid. Like in the 90s, they had amazing Super Bowl commercials. They were funny. People laughed the whole time. And now it's like one Hollywood star after the next.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, though. Did you see the Coinbase ad?
Yes.
Yeah. With the QR code?
That must have cost them $30 million to say nothing.
Wait, I QR coded it?
Well, I know you did. That was the point.
Yeah.
But no one said a word. They didn't have to hire an actor. They didn't have to pay any talent. They just let it bounce like your Windows saver, And everyone's wondering, what the hell is that for? Not a word on it, who it was, or anything about it. Everyone pulled out their phone to figure out what that was.
Yeah. I heard it actually didn't follow through the way it was supposed to. There was an actual fail at the tail end.
Oh, was there?
But I don't know if that was part of the ad or not. It was after the bouncing around of the QR code. It just went into this, it looked like it was a computer fail.
Oh, but it said their name. Coinbase.
But then it said Coinbase.
Just on the very top, yeah.
Oh,
and
mine
then
was on the very bottom. Yeah, it was on the bottom.
When you did the QR code, it went right into Coinbase, though, right?
I'm not sucked into everything. That
we
happens.
didn't.
Oh, really?
We didn't do it.
We're conditioned anytime.
No, because at the end of the commercial it said what it was for. Then I said I don't have to do it now.
Oh no.
I did think it was cool to see Arnold Schwarzenegger on a commercial.
He was on a commercial?
He was Zeus on the car commercial with the
yeah.
new electric car, and that was interesting. And Selma Hayek was his wife, and interesting.
Caesar salad, yes.
Yeah, Caesar salad.
They talk about back there was a Super Bowl where they had the big .com, and then there was a big .com bust, and so they're saying this is a crypto bust.
It's
all the
soon to bust
advertisement.
after.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
John Elway, when he was on when he was still a quarterback with the Broncos, I remember that Super Bowl, one of them. They had the best commercials in any Super Bowl. I don't remember the ones that were there. It was like the Budweiser frogs were out then, and that was a big deal. What's up?
What's up?
I didn't see Budweiser this year. I thought the one with the horse where he injured himself was going to be it, but there wasn't.
So I didn't really pay attention too much to the commercials.
No?
But the big crypto thing, if you missed last week's show was all about crypto.
It was. It was really good. Good information.
So go back and listen to that for sure. I was pulling for Cincinnati as well.
Same. Yeah.
I think they got robbed in the end. There was some penalties in the last part of the game. And it could have been I just had a couple drinks too many, but I got pretty...
It was a close game at least, though. I mean, a lot of them just sucked.
Yeah.
There was nothing. That Super Bowl a couple of years ago where it was like 49-0. I mean, who paid to watch that game?
I don't know, but the all playoff football this year was great. Really, all the games were cool, so it was good.
What'd you think of the halftime show?
I liked it. You didn't like it?
It was good. It was fun.
Dr. Dre. You guys
Again,
don't like Dr. Dre?
I thought it was really interesting. I mean, they're like everyone in their 40s is now excited about a Super Bowl, but they said that they're going to try to do one about the 80s and one about the 90s.
Yeah. No, I thought it was cool. It got a lot of good reviews. So.
Yeah.
Being in LA, I thought it was appropriate.
I didn't get the tiny house thing. I mean, every realtor meme in town is now putting signs in front of these tiny houses, but what was with the houses?
Oh.
The stage was a bunch of little houses, I didn't get it.
Oh.
I thought it was unusual to have 50 Cent hanging from the tiny home when he first introed in. I thought that was weird, but I didn't realize that they were all tiny homes.
Yeah, they
Other
were all
than it
little
just-
houses.
I thought it was just
you know?
set.
And like, why would they put them all in these? So they're dancing inside of these little houses, like inside of this room, which is pretty. You got to be really well coordinated to do that, I guess. But I didn't get it. You know,
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
You still don't.
I don't
And
get
now
it.
I don't.
So let us know if you guys know what the deal was with the tiny homes. Comment below.
Yeah,
For sure. I did win one bet, though.
You did.
Yeah.
What was
Did
it?
you bet on it?
I bet the Gatorade.
The color of the Gatorade? Did you?
No, I always wanted to though. I went to a sports book one time to do that, and the one I went to didn't have it. They said, "Yeah, we don't carry that one. You have to go somewhere else." But
I
Yes.
didn't even know
I
it
go
was
for
a thing.
grape.
I don't really gamble, so I don't really understand the odds and all that stuff. So I made a real simple bet who was going to win the coin toss, right? So I put $20 on the Bengals to win the coin toss. They did. I won
Yeah.
$39.
there you go.
Wow.
It's almost not even worth the trip into the casino to get it.
Oh, you didn't do it on your mobile app or?
No, I didn't even go and place it. I had my buddy place it for me, but
Oh.
but I thought it was fun. But
Yeah.
the second that happened, the game was over for me.
What did they had the guy,
All over.
the mattress guy who placed a $4 million bet on the Super Bowl.
What?
You know, the Mattress King, he does this. I don't remember the guy's name, but he does this every year. He makes a big sports bet, and this one was like he bet a million at a time on multiple different quarter bets and things like that. And
Did he win? Did he end up okay?
Haven't heard.
I don't know.
Wow.
I think you'd heard if he would have won.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Feel kind of bad.
well, that was cool. But yeah, that was good. Now we just have to sit and wait for next year for
Oh,
more
I'm
football.
so excited.
No, you're not.
Have you ever thought about, at the beginning of the year, every casino usually posts their I'm not a sports bettor, but they always post their odds of winning. And like I remember years ago, the Browns or the Bengals or teams that no one knows who the hell they are, 1,000 to 1, 2,000 to 1. And so I always kind of thought, why don't you go put $5 on the craziest long shots? Because we've seen a couple of years where
Yeah,
these
these-
crazy long shots win. And,
The Bengals definitely were the not expected to win.
They weren't
the
favored
beginning
at
of
the
the
beginning.
season.
I wonder what those odds would have been at the beginning of the season for the Bengals to do it, especially after a horrible year last year.
Do you know what that was?
How much?
125? Really?
Nice.
yeah, that's worth $5.
I would have
guess.
thought $500 to 1 or 500 to 1. They were way bad.
I wonder how much the
don't know.
Gatorade bet was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, you might want to parlay that all together.
Yeah. Well, that's someone did just hit one of those big parlays. I did read that in the news, like $1 million parlay off of a free bet. It
Wow.
wasn't even money that they had put up. Like casinos will get you in by come to your free parlay. Well, this guy did it. It was like a 10 or 12 continuous parlay, and he
Which
won.
is hard to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, crazy.
To get them all. Valentine's Day was this last week?
Yep.
Yup.
Went to Carver Steak.
Did you? Was it good?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys been there?
Is that the one at the
At
Resorts
Resorts
World?
World? Yeah.
How is that?
It was
they have
at-
more Facebook ads than any realtor I know. They do.
It was really good, actually. It was steak was, I didn't eat the steak, but the seafood thing that they had
Wait a
in the
minute.
seafood tower.
You went to a restaurant called Carver Steak.
I know.
And you didn't eat the
they
steak.
all looked at me like that too. No, but Sydney and Rich.
Rich
both
eats
went.
enough steak.
He does.
eats-
That's true.
Yeah. They both were on ration control, so
I'd be afraid to be around a barbecue with that guy in the room. I might fall in, and I'm there. I'm
he's
gone.
like, the tomahawk? I'm like, it's just you. And he's like, well, I'll share with Sydney. I'm like, no. But it's cool. You get to pick your own knife.
Oh.
So they bring this, instead of like your teas or whatever, you pick out whichever knife that, or sword is whatever he called it. It was kind of cool.
That
But
is
it was
cool.
actually, so they had said that the steaks were really good. The ambiance is really great. The seafood tower was amazing. Great seafood.
Very cool.
So I know you don't eat steak. So what did you have instead?
The seafood tower. Seafood tower, I like all by
You
myself.
had a cold seafood tower.
So this lady, the lady across the way comes up and's like, oh, can I take a picture of your seafood tower? And she's like, is this for everybody? And then my husband and my daughter are like, nope, just for her. And I think they kept looking at me to see if I'd actually eat all the food. I did. It was great.
Oh.
It was great. I mean, it wasn't like it was like a petite.
Your husband's like waiting for the seafood appetizers to get done so that he can have his steak. You're still eating it.
The whole thing. That was my whole meal. And a wedge salad.
What'd Sydney have?
A steak.
Oh, okay. Well, there.
what did you do?
Me?
Yeah.
For Valentine's Day? Nothing.
Well,
I am the
That a
worst.
boy.
I'm going to tell you though.
That boy? Is that what you said?
That a boy.
Oh, that a boy.
It's not that I did nothing. My wife and I usually celebrate at home, right? We make a nice dinner. We usually
Who's we? You do or you both?
Well, like she makes a nice dinner, and we participate.
In the
I did do it. I did do it last year. I usually do the barbecuing, and then we'll have a couple glasses of champagne, some nice wine, and that's usually our annual activity. But I never post anything on Facebook. Well, this year, I posted on Facebook about my lovely wife.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
so sweet. So that's like writing a card or giving her a card? Or
Like I
giving her
posted on
gifts?
Facebook. I don't post about anything. I'm a watcher.
I'm a watcher.
That's funny.
I live through everyone else.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
So normally I just like to, I like to go to Outback and get a steak and a baked potato to go and have that. But this year we went to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
do
her
like
favorite
Outback.
place. She likes
Okay.
it. She doesn't even wait. Oh, yeah, and you don't need reservations to get in.
That's true.
So
No one's
there you go.
We went there, yeah, and they have a new way of serving over there too. It's like you scan and order at the same time. At least someone by my house. It's that's very sweet.
Do you,
That's
Nice
very sweet of
romantic.
me. It's very romantic.
do you know it's a big deal in my house that it's my daughter Madison's 14th birthday this week she had, and 14. I think about when I was 14. It was a long time ago, but she's grown up fast.
Isn't your wife also celebrating a milestone birthday?
Yeah,
or
she's
celebrated.
Yeah, today big birthday. I'm not going to say which one because I'd be in trouble, but it's right. It's the very middle. Well, you can't
It's the
say the middle
peak.
anymore because you don't know where the middle's at because we all live different.
We're
times.
hoping it's the middle,
Yes,
or
yes.
or not quite the middle.
No, it's a big deal, and so I planned a little family staycation, and
Aw.
bring your family in is always a good time with her group, and so we got some plans around that, but it'll be cool.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
And that's so President's Day is coming up. What are you doing for that
21st.
day?
I get the day off, don't I?
You get the day of Presidents.
it's for past presidents.
Is it?
Oh, then you get
President's
then
Day.
you
It's a
get
celebration of past
then you get the
presidents.
day off.
Yeah, now we're talking.
I think the wrong organization, but we'll take the day anyway.
Yes. Speaking of presidents, so you've got some good stuff that you've written on your. I guess this isn't your first release. You've already released some stuff in the past.
So not me personally. So the board releases stats and stuff, and
Yeah.
I get to do a lot of the interviews and stuff because as president you get to speak for the association or on behalf of the association, not necessarily for them. And so it's really nice because we've got a lot of action, a lot of things going on in our market. Prices keep climbing and
A lot of action.
sales are happening and inventory is low, and so there's a lot of things to talk about. But it is kind of the same thing each month so far.
So have you had any interview faux pas yet? Like things that you were like, damn, I shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
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 Like.
Well, I'm not going to tell you because it didn't really.
It's like those would be bloopers at the end of the year.
but sometimes you'll do an interview or something, and then you go, oh, I really shouldn't have said that. I hope they didn't take it the way I think they took it, And so you're like, kind of on pins and needles for the article or the newscast to come out, and you're like, phew. So I haven't had anything hit that I've regretted yet that I've seen, but
You will.
I know.
I've had a lot of them. Tom had the best one. The market price was increasing pretty dramatically, and somebody,
fire.
Tom Blanchard, so somebody asked him why is the market price going up, and he says because more rich people are buying homes. You had to agree with his logic, I was on a so when the stats go out, it's kind of weird because national news groups will pick up market stats when they're about a major market like Las
Yeah,
Vegas or New York
yeah.
or anything else. Well, I got public radio, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't know that I have ever tuned into public radio. And so when the guy interviews you, they ask you like 100 questions, and you don't know which pieces will make the interview, which pieces won't.
Yeah.
And so then George McCabe, who Brandon's talked about, is the our PR guy, and he'll call you up and say if you did a good job or a bad job. And so the guy had asked me, he says, so what was it like going through the crash? And I said, it sucked, right? And that's all I said. And the guy's like, well, do you want to expand on that? And I was like, no, it sucked. And he's like, okay, well, we'll move on to the next question. Well, I didn't know there were 20 million people tuning into public radio, and all they heard me say was, it sucked, right?
It was
the
live?
promo
But
the
it
whole
did.
day.
I was right. It was through this whole thing, and that's the main part. He says, they asked you your opinion on the crash, and all you said was it sucked. And I said, well, I was right,
Was that is that when you went through the presidency when you're?
when I was local Las Vegas president.
And it was a live show.
Yeah, and then they had these commercials. They did. So have you ever heard about these local celebrities, that get famous because they're on local news networks and, like the car guys? a lot of them will get on there and people are like, oh, you're that car guy.
Oh,
or
yeah.
the one
Open
that-
Dodge.
Yeah.
Yes. The
Finley.
chopper, or we'll do anything to sell you a car,
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
What's his name?
Well, I got on this thing with Channel 8 because that's what we did as an association. And you film them all together in some cases behind a green screen, and then they patch you together. Well, there was this one where you're supposed to point to other people that are next to you because you're doing this combined community thing. Well, I didn't know where they were at, so I was pointing the wrong places. So when they put it together, I've got like Don Hamrick was the guy to the right. I got like my finger in his nose on the thing. But whatever, it was funny.
That is funny.
But you know who saw me?
Who?
My grandmother. She watched Wheel of Fortune, and I was on it one time. Not on Wheel of Fortune, but a commercial.
Aw.
That was
That's
the
cool.
extent
Special
of it.
moment.
You know you're
for
good
her.
when you're on during Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, she was probably like, my grandson's made it. He's the president of LVR.
Yep. Wheel of Fortune.
But
It
it is crazy. So George has told me I've done good so far. So
You have. You've done a lot of good interviews.
I'll keep hanging on there for that. But our median sales price went up another 10,000 this last month to
Wow.
435.
Wow.
So that's crazy. And
That's 118,000 more than mine. And Tom's, it's double, or excuse me, Lynham's, it was double his.
Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible.
it all started with Tom's or,
Yeah.
or
Tom's.
Blanchard's because
Yeah.
every month it was on fire.
Yeah.
And every month it started climbing, and it hasn't stopped.
Well, that's double-digit increase, right? What was it before?
So last year was up about was
It's in the 390s, wasn't it?
26% higher.
Oh,
yeah.
was it 430 in December?
A year ago it was 345.
Yeah.
345. What about December 2021? What was the
It's in the 390s, I think.
390? Oh, we didn't hit. Oh,
No,
400.
December it
405.
was 405.
405.
Oh, okay.
Then it went to 415 or 420.
It
and
went
then,
up.
Then yeah, 435. So it's significant jumps, and it's I know when it was getting close to 400, there was kind of the over under when it was going to happen. It happened quick.
Yeah, it did.
So
And that's amazing when you think about the price increase. I mean, realtors back in 07, 08, 09, I mean, we actually took pay cuts where we lost 80% of our paychecks, you know, and same job, same activities. And now, you know, paychecks have gone up, not necessarily the workload's changed, but it's nice to see it going the other way for once.
yeah, it's crazy though. The when you look at it, the amount of homes we sold last year, you know, just
Yeah.
over 50,000
Wow.
on the MLS, right? You think about that. We did that with record low inventory all year.
Yep.
I mean, we
Way more
hovered,
than back then.
Yeah, we hovered right around a month's worth of inventory. So the inventory had to come on just as fast as it was
Yeah.
selling to keep that machine going. And what I'm seeing now, and I hope it's just a seasonal thing, we're seeing less inventory come on.
Yeah.
Which I think that's going to be the choke point that hurts the realtors a little bit more. Because like what Chris said before, when we had the recession, there was still a lot of sales. The prices just went down, so you had to sell more to make the same kind of money. But the only thing that really affects us here is if there's nothing to sell,
Yeah.
then you can't.
Craziest thing I've noticed about Vegas, and I don't know if it's because of our industries that support our city or what, but even during the crash and after, the rental market was always strong, right? I mean, there were a lot of rental properties, there were a lot of investors in the marketplace, but they were always renting. And the rental rates didn't crash like everything else.
Yeah.
There were more rentals on the market, but they didn't crash. They were pretty stable. The rental market right now is experiencing multiple offers, like where
Yeah.
they'll have 40 applications on a property, and even before they put in the app, they'll offer $500-600 more than what the property's listed at. And places are going in a weekend, you know, and it's nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I had a guy that came in and he said, I'll invest in the market when rents match 1% of the property price. And I laughed.
When
and I was
was
like,
that?
what? You know, you buy a $400,000 house that rents for $4,000 a month? No. But I mean, we're on our way to where they're probably at 6.06% or whatever sixth of a percent is.
Oh, I thought you meant where it meant $1 per square foot, but you're talking about $1 per.
I'm
sales
talking about
price
like
of what they purchased
1%
at.
of whatever the purchase price is your
Wow,
monthly rent.
that'd be a nice.
Yeah,
I
and
would
we're
love to see
over a
that.
0.5%. I would probably argue in most cases.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I sold a few at the end of the year to an investor. He bought them. They were about 365,000. We're getting 2,400.
Yeah.
What's the size of the house? Like
They're just
1,400?
2,200 square
Yeah.
feet. Something like that.
2,200.
right around 2,000 square feet.
Which
Some
is-
a little lower and some a little
Which
more.
is great income. I mean, for people that buy them and hold them, the whole
It's
thing.
not
is-
1%, but it's
on its way.
Yeah.
significant.
Well, so of the transactions that are happening, do you know the percentage of investor versus like owner occupied? Do you have that information?
No, I don't have that exact, but what we do know is that the cash prices are starting to come up people
Yeah.
paying for cash, the percentage of that is up over that. And I think we'll see more of that as rates go higher.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when it's that low, it's almost like free money.
Yeah.
And so why use your cash to do that? But
Yeah.
there are a lot of institutional buyers, I think that's what we're allowed to call them, that are buying massive amounts of properties
Rental.
for rentals, yeah.
So they're coming in, because they're coming in cash, they're in a competitive market. They're actually the ones that are beating out your owner occupied today.
You know, one thing that started to finally come back that I hadn't seen for a long time is land speculation. So, you know, there was a lot of major institutions that would come and buy large chunks of land where they'd spend 60, 80, $100 million, and they'd buy a big plot of land, and then they'd wait for development to hit it,
Yeah.
and then they'd sell it. And that went away for a lot of times. Like there was one, like maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, but there was one last year that was for like $100 million on the strip, or $135 million. And so there are people now back into land speculation where they're buying for, you know, large developments and things like that, which is really kind of encouraging, because that's where investors, large hedge funds, used to go and put their money,
Right.
because it was a better return. And so it may deter them from the housing market like they're doing now, if they can get those type of
Buy and
returns
hold
back
that
on
stuff.
land.
Yeah, that's, you know, I went on a road trip, to look at a property with Bill Schloff one time. And Bill's been in town. He's one of our agents.
Yeah.
He's been in town forever. And his dad used to buy land and speculate that.
Sure.
And he was actually pointing out reasons and places you should buy. And as we were coming out of the canyon, Lake Canyon there, and he was pointing down, he goes, see the heavy equipment out there in the field? You should be buying land up here.
Where was that
because
at?
you're the north.
Oh.
But
so
as
it's a while ago.
you're starting to see them start to expand,
Yeah.
that's the way you go. When you start to see them upgrading the roads and the infrastructure in those areas, they're heading that way. So
Well, I do land sales, you know, regularly for residential development, and what people don't think about is that you got to pay to bring those utilities to your house.
Absolutely.
And so there's somebody you should think in your neighborhood who paid to bring
Yeah.
the power in and the
Sid
gas
and
in.
Lid.
Yeah. Well, that's when a developer will do it, right? Sid and
isn't
Lid.
that
but-
Yeah.
isn't that his name, Sid?
yeah. That's funny.
And last
paying
name
him.
is Lid. Well, there's a lot of development going on in Pahrump. What do you think? You think that's where people are going to start to go to the outskirts of the area?
I think there's growth out there. One of it is I think Pahrump sits on one of the biggest aquifers, and so water out there isn't going to be.
Except they won't let you drill any wells.
Really?
Yeah, they
Yet.
put a moratorium on wells on certain parts of Pahrump. And they're trying to revoke water rights to, you know, people that actually have them out there. They're trying to revoke them back. I think it's to put in more infrastructure, but it's been a big problem. And they had a regulation where you couldn't, your well dries up because you're only like 160 feet down, and you usually would just go in and drill it down another, 50, 60 feet. Well, you can't do that anymore. You got to cap that well and then drill a new well. They have all of these rules out there for
Wow.
that. It's
Trying to
different.
make it difficult,
Yeah,
so you get on the public water system.
yeah, probably.
I think they'd
I didn't
like
know
to.
they had one out
they'd
there.
like to buy up the wells. My house is on a well.
Is it? Mm-hmm. I think that's a lot of people don't understand, but that is a great thing because you're not paying the water district. You have a usually well agreement with multiple neighbors.
Yeah.
There's a power bill that you pay and you split up, and then if something happens with the pump or whatever, it's usually shared between the people that are there.
We pay $400 a year.
Yeah,
$100 a quarter, and we're on a well with. There's a total of 8 houses on the well.
that's nice.
So
Who
yeah,
treats the water and all that stuff? Is it something you get annually? Or?
It's fresh. It comes from below the well, okay.
Really?
That's a big issue right now is septic systems contaminating the water.
Yeah.
But it depends on how deep your straw is.
Awesome. How deep is your straw, Brandon?
deep enough. I'm on septic too.
Oh, and you have
See,
a
I'm
septic.
keeping a straight face. I don't know what's wrong with him.
You do not have a straight face. But no, the wells are big. I don't know how we ended up there, but we did. But yes, Pahrump is growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a developer actually who was looking at, I think she's looking at 50 acres, but she's going to do mobile homes.
Oh, yes.
I was like, why don't you develop actual houses on them?
Do they have tornadoes out there?
I don't know.
I thought that's what
They do have windstorms.
Yeah.
They
Do
do have
they?
crazy windstorms out there, yeah. They will.
Yeah.
Dust
so
storms.
she said there's a lot of infrastructure starting out there.
Yeah.
So I figured, what's going on out in Pahrump?
I
Over
have
the hump in
I have a
Pahrump.
place coming up in Indian Springs.
I like it up
Where's
there
that?
actually.
Creech area?
Creech, yeah. So you drive out. It's only probably 25 minutes from the end of the city, in the north. And like you're going to Mount Charleston, you just keep going, you don't turn.
Yeah.
And it's not that far away. But I mean, if you lived in California or any place else, that wouldn't be a bad commute. You know.
Linda Stewart had a ranch up there, and I went up and looked at it, and I thought I should buy this. I wish I would have.
Yeah.
A ranch for like
There was like
animals
2
and stuff,
houses
or-
on it. Yeah,
Oh.
horse
Who's
stables.
going to raise llamas?
Oh, that's exactly what I thought.
Emus.
A ranch for llamas.
Emu.
Lemu emus.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Okay.
No,
No,
I like that little emu.
I don't
You
know.
don't
what-
watch enough TV.
No, I was actually really excited. I watched the Super Bowl. My husband was even like, "Wow, you've been on the couch like for 3 hours." I'm like, "Well, I was watching the Super Bowl." Like I never sit on the couch.
What's
that
your
long.
favorite Super Bowl snack? Like what?
snack?
Yeah, everyone makes something special during the Super Bowl. What's your favorite thing?
Oh.
What do you order?
So I always make this French onion dip, super.
Ooh, I like French onion dip.
Yeah, so I get the Lipton's onion soup mix, and you get a
Sour
16-ounce sour cream, and you just whip it up. And somehow that special whip that I do, it's the best French onion dip ever, with
Okay.
Ruffles chips.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
like to get
that's
the-
that's my thing.
The brown brie, and get the jalapeno jelly and put it over it once you melt
Ooh.
it. That's actually like my favorite appetizer.
With what though? Crackers or?
You can get like bread or crackers or anything like that, but it's kind of cool because it's sweet and spicy at the same
Yeah.
time.
That's similar to what we had at Grape Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and it's all gooey in the middle and
Middle,
just
yeah.
like me.
What about you, Brandon?
I just like food.
No specific.
I like dips and chips a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I like guacamoles. I like.
Do you make your own guacamole?
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
He knows how.
This year, I just go to my friend's house who has a Super
Across
Bowl
the
party.
street?
Yeah.
Across the street.
It's a good commute.
With the shared well.
Yep, I share well with them. So yeah, I contributed.
Yeah, right.
Some of that water's mine.
Exactly. Oh,
But
that's
no,
funny.
I like snacks and finger foods like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So
Yeah, I do too. In sometimes too much. I can't stop myself with that stuff. So
Yeah.
I try to
We can
stop.
tell you're the one with the problem.
I'm allergic to food. I swell up.
Yes.
The more I eat, the more I swell. So you also sent an article on Airbnb.
Yes.
Let's talk about Airbnb because, rumor has it we're getting Airbnb legalized here in Clark County, and it's going to be off to the races.
Well, it's already legalized in Henderson, right?
Yeah.
So, but they have specific restrictions, and you have to go through a process to
I
get
think
that.
the county and the city have restrictions already. It was just that they stopped allowing any new Airbnbs because there are all these people that they had already, thousands of them, that were already happening, but they were trying to regulate them. And they had one code enforcement person doing it. So
Yeah,
I
they
think that was a
I think in the last legislative session there was some laws that were changed that it's going to make it there, but they're in the process of writing out how that's going to look. Henderson is on the forefront of that. I know they're looking at their regulations and adjusting them because some of the stuff that came down is a little bit more strict.
Yeah.
But I anticipate Las Vegas and that will probably look to what Henderson did to do something
And
similar.
your HOA can still decide not to allow it. So even if it's allowable in the city, the problem has been that associations, where it's other members of the community have said, no, we're not going to allow it inside in our CC&Rs because they have rental restrictions. Just like, if you
Yeah.
wanted to lease your house, you got to have certain terms in the lease and things like that. But that'll be interesting to see how that'll be the battle.
Yeah, that was exciting when Henderson got it. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's legalized
Yeah.
out here," and yeah, most of them are HOAs, and you're not able to do them. So.
Well, so that makes sense because we have, I think it was one of our neighbors was trying to apply probably through the HOA to be approved to do a short-term rental or Airbnb. So they'd sent all of us certified mail. So all of our neighbors are like, what is this certified mail from this address down the street? And I didn't check it out, but that's probably what they were trying to do is just to petition our approval. for them.
notifying you guys.
Yeah.
I have a
That
buddy
we're okay.
who is on, they actually have an association of short-term rental owners. I didn't know that. Everyone has an association, I guess. And a buddy of mine is on it, and during that whole thing, they were compliant. They were actually following regulations. They were, making sure the properties were clean, making sure that they weren't party houses, and that was the big concern.
Yeah.
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 I think it was Lois Tarkanian who had a party house in her neighborhood down the street. They didn't invite her. And they trashed
She did herself?
they trashed the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and had a horrible drugs and everything else that you could think of going on in this house. And so she was the champion for shutting that down in the city. She was very vocal about it. And then what's happened now is, you got people in there like Airbnb actually as a company came in and said, we'll put money behind getting this regulated and we'll be supportive of it. And I think the more of that you have, the better off it'll be, because they're actually caring about the feedback and the things that are happening. But
everything I'm seeing is the regulations are going to be in there, but they're going to make it difficult and expensive for you to do it, to deter you in a different way.
Sure.
Instead of saying you can't do it, they're just going to say
give us
have to jump
$800
through all these hoops. And I think the 800, but I even think some of the security stuff and the response time and the companies you're going to have to hire, and I think there's a big market or a big opportunity for property management to get in and set this up and learn how to do it. But I think we're going to have some issues with that as we're learning how to deal with it.
The only thing I don't remember what happened with is, so what they looked at is that when you have an Airbnb, every single one of these is an independent business, right, within a city. And so they were going to require individual business licenses for each of these properties. And it was like, well, if I have like 7 businesses in the city of Las Vegas all doing the same thing, do I really need to have 7 business? Like, can I just have 1? And so I think that was a big part of the income argument to pay for the regulation that would happen with it. I don't know what happened.
I think they're limiting like a certain number under one business license. So then you'd have to have another. Let's change it. Chris Bishop could only have X number. Okay, so you can get a business license and manage these 4. Let's just use the number 4. I'm not sure if that's exact it. So if you wanted any more, you'd have to start a corporation. That corporation could own them, and they could do the number. So you're going to still see that. Somebody could still do more, but that's their way around it. So it's not.
They were able to shut you down without a business license for sure.
Yeah. Are you thinking of opening up or expanding your property management to include this if this becomes something that's more widespread?
I think about it, but one of the biggest concerns I would have with it is the cleaning crew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when we look at putting a coffee shop or a restaurant in one of our offices. You have staff, right? And if those staff don't show up, you still have to operate. Well, if you're the owner, somebody's got to show up, right?
Yeah.
Brandon's gonna be
And
cleaning
last
some
thing I
houses.
need to be doing is cleaning houses,
Yeah.
and flipping cheeseburgers. So I can't be in 2 places at once, but that kind of stuff. So if you had a good crew or you had a good company that was going to do it and somebody that could manage that and be responsible for it, I think it's a big thing. But the turning of these properties is going to be big.
Yeah. What about like corporate rentals? Is that included in like the 1 month to less than 1 month to say 2 or 3 months?
Depends on how they're set up. I mean, like there are corporate rentals right now in the marketplace where people go in and they're above 3 months. A company owns it. That's been allowable.
Yeah.
That's not like an Airbnb.
It's when it's like a weekly turnover. That's the whole issue.
And a lot of even your HOAs and stuff have a restriction: no rentals under 30 days or 60 days.
Yeah.
So that happens.
But if Chris Bishop LLC buys a rental property and I let my friends stay in it and we're not putting up a lease because they're not staying there, to use it or whatever, that's a different story than me putting it on a website saying $800 a weekend.
Yeah.
Bring your friends. I think.
Yeah,
that's
just make sure you tell anyone that knocks on the door you're related.
Yeah.
I think there's a fair amount. I think there's a fair amount of that stuff that goes on too. Don't answer the door if anyone knocks. So and I've heard people trying to get around it by basically doing a monthly rental.
Yeah.
But letting them cancel it at any time with no penalty. And so, I mean, hopefully this will alleviate that so people are responsible.
But I am seeing more of the like not short-term weekend type rentals. I'm seeing more of like the corporate rentals. I mean, I actually have my tenant who we talked a long time ago about potentially for evicting and all that stuff. So she's finally leaving. She's leaving our place. And so I thought maybe I could flip it into not sure. I don't know that I could do short term because that's a lot of work. But a corporate rental would be.
I think it's perfect for an owner. I mean, someone who wants to be hands-on with their property that really wants to make a larger rent amount. I could be fun. I mean, that's a full-time business. Getting the maid in and checking it out and making that little book about all the things with your house that people should know. Every short-term rental I've been in has had one.
The Wi-Fi code.
Yeah. But I mean, I think to your point, you definitely have to have. If you don't have the capacity to clean a house or you don't have the time.
Well, you're going to clean it anyway.
Well, I mean, or have somebody hired to clean it. Yeah. But that's what I've been thinking is, do I make it a short-term rental or do I make it a corporate type rental? And if you can see the same type of increase or income based on
The only downside is either way you got to furnish it, right?
You do,
That's the
yeah.
difference is, people are, this isn't your kids or you taking care of this
Yes,
stuff. This
yeah.
is other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was excited on that got passed because I bought a
Yeah.
house this
Yeah.
last year and it has a casita and it's set up that it's got another gate and everything
Ah, yeah.
that I could rent that out, but it was right in an unincorporated part, just a little pocket of the county where you couldn't do them because they
Wow.
weren't legal in the county, unless it was the city or whatever. Then they
Yeah.
did have some restrictions and stuff, so that changed. But because I don't want to rent that out full time, I don't want somebody in my backyard.
Living
But
there.
I may be open to doing little Airbnb.
Well, let me know when you set that up. Maybe I can, we
Yeah.
can tag team on your
It'll be different people from the
cleaners.
company coming over to rent it for the weekend.
Yeah, there you go. So
We want to hang
that's
out with
it.
Brandon. Oh, that'll be $500. And on a peak night, it's $6.
Yeah, minimum of 3 nights.
We don't make change.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that's really good. So anyway, so
It's all for PSF.
well, let's talk a little bit about rates. What's
yeah,
going on?
so we tiptoed over the 4% last
Tiptoed
week.
or jumped
Just
over?
we're right at the 4.125. So we are starting to. I think a lot of it is because they are making. There's a lot of conversation that the Fed is going to increase rates, right? And so with that, anytime they talk about the Fed increasing rates, it's not the mortgage rates that they're talking about, but we always have that negative effect whenever they talk about the Fed raising. So I think what's going to happen is when they actually do come around to raising the rates, I think we'll actually see the rates slow down, soften a little bit. Just because usually we have that inverse reaction to it. Like when in 2020, when they kept saying rates are going down, our rates would go up, right? And we'd always get those conversations from our buyers like, well, they said on TV it went down 0.25%. Like, sorry, we went up 1/8. And that's because what did they say? Conversely
Change the
related
channel.
to that. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what news you're watching. So maybe when they do actually increase our short-term rates, then we'll see a little bit of softening in our rates today. But
Still really low.
really good. Yeah. Historically low rates.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
By today.
it's funny though when they started talking about the Fed raising rates, all of a sudden the news media and everything else. That's when the interviews started. What do you think? What do you think? How's it changing the market?
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't yet. It'll take some time before it kind of does, if at all, right?
Well, I feel like we've had more buyers come like out of the woodwork or resurface because there's this fear of missing out. And I think there's a lot of that happening. And, the unfortunate stance is because you're saying that the inventory is even, what are you guys down to 2, or not you guys, but we're down to 2 to 3 weeks of
2 to 3
inventory.
weeks.
Yeah, just over 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I think they're coming back in and then they're seeing what's happening again. It's going through that same cycle that they're feeling. But I do believe that everybody's coming. We saw an influx just because I think of FOMO that was happening. FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Do you ever get that?
Some days.
You do?
Or why?
Some
Do you
days.
get YOLO?
Not since the medication.
What
I
do you
don't know.
say?
YOLO? What is YOLO? You only live once, right?
Oh, okay.
You only.
I was
that
a little
too.
jaundiced as a baby, but I think they worked that out.
Still working on that.
That's cleared up, I thought. So, how high do you anticipate him going this year? And I'm not going to hold you to this, but pull out your crystal ball and let's get a number.
I think we're going to be in the high 4s, to be honest with you. I
That-
think we'll probably end the year. I am hearing rumors that a 40-year term loan is coming out. One that is 40-year with a 10-year interest only, which kind of freaks me out.
Yeah.
But I think that affordability
Wow.
is going to be a big issue for the administration.
So after 10 years, you would have not paid any principal on your property, just
Yeah.
interest. So that's the scary part.
It's
No
a-
equity building again.
Yes, it's a little bit reminiscent of that.
But I have to give a down payment.
You do still have to give a down payment.
Okay, well,
Yes. I'm hoping they don't put that in conjunction with our down payment assistance programs, but
I really liked, I think they should come back with a lot of these, 80-10-10s where, because a lot of people don't need to get a whole refi on their house. They just need a small line of credit for a home repair or a pool or something like that. And years ago, they used to have it where you get an 80% loan on your property, and then you had when you were 100%, you had a 10% line of credit and a 10% second loan, and you could pay off the second loan and, the whole thing, and then the line of credit would stay open, and you could, $50,000 line of credit you could do a lot with.
Yeah.
You could have a great night in Vegas, right?
great night.
If you're in bed by 10.
I know. Sadly, that's where we're at now in life.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So
there was a lot of that, but that's a lot of what got people in trouble too.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because
Because they had no equity.
and yeah, they're living on that equity line, and then the market changes, and then they shut those equity lines down. The bank did to protect themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but I mean, I like some the clients that I'm dealing with today that are taking the cash out refinances right now. Like I spoke with somebody on Sunday, and we are saving her $2,000 in overall debt because they put themselves in a position over the last couple of years to over leverage themselves in other aspects, like these personal loans that come online, and I think a credit thing that she got from her bank, and so. The fortunate thing is she was able to take advantage of the refinance because of the equity position she had, and it's literally saving her $2,000 a month in payment, even though her mortgage payment is going up. So I think there are definitely some opportunities.
she's paying more for the
refinance.
mortgage, but her entire bills have gone down.
Right, and if she continued
Amount
to pay
of
that
that.
extra $2,000 towards her mortgage, she'd pay off that loan in 20 years. So I think that type of conversation should, like, people should know that it's not just come grab your equity and
I think that's a big difference too, because a lot of people aren't buying a house to pay off a mortgage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you should be thinking of, but it's not usually the
Yeah,
plan.
my
because-
father-in-law did.
Yeah,
That's what
they
yeah.
sell in 7 years, and so
Yeah,
a
yeah.
40-year mortgage with a what was it?
10-year interest
10-year
only.
interest only. I mean, if you were a young buyer in the marketplace and you were trying to get into a home, it would make it very attractive
Yep.
for the payment while you increase your income. But it's a horrible thing to get stuck in if you couldn't
Get
gonna
out.
make some headway.
Yeah. So we'll see whenever those programs come out. But it's a little, when I heard that, I was like, wow, the 40-year I think is good because it's amortized throughout the 40-year. But when I heard about the interest only, I'm like, wow, it's a little.
It's designed to get people to be able to qualify for more house,
Absolutely.
right? And that's the way that prices can continue to increase.
Correct.
But then when there's a hiccup and they can't make those payments, that's
Big
when
problem.
we have the
What about
crashes.
That's what
what
we
about
have, yeah.
reverse mortgages? Because the affordability issue is becoming a big deal, and there are a lot of people with equity that can't afford the prices of houses and the payments. So is that
Yeah.
coming back in a big way?
I think I am seeing reverse mortgages, obviously, for the age group for them specifically. But yeah, just because it's also inflation's affecting them
Yeah.
too, right? So it's helping them they're at a fixed income usually.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's definitely helping them. And so they're taking advantage of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Get your 40-year mortgage.
One way or the other.
Prosperity lending.
Maybe coming to a prosperity lending
Certain
loan officer.
restrictions apply.
Right.
Right on. And so you also wanted to talk a little bit about self-employment programs.
Oh yeah, we actually. I mean, this time of year we have, everybody's filing taxes, right? Starting to gather my tax documents.
My dog ate mine. Did
You're-
you see that?
No.
God, we put him on a.
No, seriously?
No shit.
Not yours?
My dog.
Oh,
have
I
a
thought it was a
dresser,
meme or
and so
something.
I take them all and I put them together. Any 1099s I get or W whatever.
Yeah.
I put them together in a packet and I set them on top of my dresser, and that's where they sit as they come in.
Yep, yep.
And then I take them together. Well, I have a Great Dane who's 6 foot tall on his paws, and I don't know why. I mean, I have papers all over the stuff. He grabs this envelope and rips it apart. And so I have the pieces. If you're with the IRS, I have the pieces. And so I'm sitting here
Dog
gluing
ate
this
my
My
back
dog
together.
ate my home.
So we started the show with Club Canine and training. I think you do.
He hates the
Yeah.
IRS.
I don't know if they can train that out of him. I'm sorry.
Way to circle around there. Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
you might need that e-collar for your dog
Yeah.
too.
I'm not really
Work
upset.
out.
It's got a lot of work to put it back together.
Taping it all
Lot
out.
of
I
tape.
can just see you like. This
It
is.
was so crazy when we came out. My wife is just like, "Oh my God, he ate your tax things." I'm like, "Well, they're yours too."
That's funny. They're yours.
Well, the good news is we actually have programs that you don't need all your tax documents.
We can
so-
get them online, thank God.
Yeah, but I think this is the time, right? Your self-employed borrowers. I've circled back with a lot of them. We actually have like a stated income program again, so a little reminiscent also.
Yeah.
And then just a no income type, no tax return qualifying loans. So
There's a chance for everyone.
that's right. Yep.
No income, no documents.
Yeah.
Just find a house.
Exactly.
That's
That-
why
As
you
long
can't
as
find a
it'll
house
rent.
to use it on.
Yeah. That's why
That's the problem. Yeah.
we'll give you all the money you want because we know you won't find one.
Way to be optimistic, Brandon Roberts.
Yeah, but that, well, self-employment programs are important for independent contractors.
Yeah.
Tip industry.
Realtors a lot. Tips
Yeah.
is a big one too.
Yeah.
So All right. Well, that's all I had on the list that you gave me.
That's all I got. What do you got, Chris? Anything else you
I'm
want to
just
add?
happy to be here.
We
Are
are
you?
happy you're here
I'm
today
like,
too.
I'm like the Ed McMahon of this show. I get to come on once in a while when you have the animals here, and look, Johnny, a bird.
Next show I'm going to bring in an ice bath. You guys can both
Ooh.
take that, learn how to go through
It'll
that.
melt.
Take some breathing techniques.
Not at the same time. Sorry.
I'm too hot.
Awesome. Well, are we at the end?
Yeah, let's wrap
you're
it
telling,
up.
Let's wrap it up. Okay. Well, if you like this show, make sure you share it to all your friends. Make sure you hit the notification button so that you can check out our
If you
next
don't like
episode.
the show, still share it
Don't-
with all your friends.
Exactly.
Help a brother
make sure
out.
you subscribe. And we'll see you on the next show. That's a wrap.